Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Brilliant Professor-ish. I am Dr. Vernita Glenn White. I go by Dr. V, and I am your certified and credentialed life changer. For some of you who are like, what in the world is that? I run and operate a training and advice company where we focus on coaching, consulting, speaking, writing, and all the things in between to help you live your best life in multiple areas of your life. I mainly work with high-level professionals in their careers who are either wanting to go higher in their careers with more impact and influence, or those people who are aspiring to be entrepreneurs, because that is the space that I'm in. And I think it's so much better if you prepare yourself before you go ahead and jump out there and learn from experience. And then anyone else, I am open to people who inspire me. You know, they can be celebrities, and if they inspire me, I would love to have coaching sessions with with them as well. So I do have a lane, but I believe in the power of coaching and the way I coach. So I can talk to anyone on the spectrum, but just for people who like, well, what is your niche? There it is. All right, so we are here for another episode. Hopefully you've been watching. If you are new, and I'm going to stop this, I promise, but I know we're still in the single digits, so I get to say it. The first few episodes were more of a personal touch and some lesson learned while I was in my career, and then we're slowly tapering off. But of course, if something else comes up, I'll do another episode. But today we are talking about, I think I'm gonna put the title, Go Ahead and Stop Doing Your Best, because that's what sparked in my head as I was thinking of how am I going to round out this month before I step into a new series. This has been challenging for me because I do operate in series. I work better that way. And then I've streamlined some things, and I was like, okay, I wanted to do another type of project. And I'm letting y'all know this is real talk, things about life. And when you're building something, it could be a career, it could be a business, it could be family. But I want to talk to you all from a practical perspective. And I always like to, or I'm starting now to talk more about some things that I do behind the scene. And I was working on some things. I had my whole planner. I think that was episode 1 where I talked about all the planner things and getting myself together. And then on something I didn't give myself quite enough time. I'm an overachiever sometimes, and I had this idea, and sometimes, and let me know if this is you get mad at your creative process, or you get mad because you want to go up and above and beyond. And it's like, why can't I just be regular in some cases? I'm repurposing content, and I feel that Jesus was like, don't you start nothing else new. And even though this podcast is new, I had notes and things about what I wanted to do, but I was like, oh gosh, okay, if I'm going to start recording episodes and then I got to make those short, y'all know the whole social media thing. And it was like, no, just repurpose what you have, and then that'll give you breathing room to focus on something else. And I was like, okay. So you'll see on my channel, it's another podcast, quote unquote. It's not my major one, but I was like, there were already videos on my channel. And then since YouTube started the new podcast version, I was like, well, let me just switch that playlist into a podcast. So I did that. And then they were like from 2020. And I did snippets of each video. It was 13 videos. And I did 4 snippets each. Why? I do not know. So I ended up with 52 clips. So then it's like I have these 52 clips. I want to put them on YouTube Shorts, and then they have to go on Instagram and Facebook. Then I was like, oh crap, TikTok, even though it may be going away, we don't know. And then LinkedIn. So I started scheduling, and I was like, okay, I'll do a little bit. So I got them on YouTube, and then I was just feeling convicted. It's like, no, just go ahead and just do them all. All right, fine. Then I was like, okay, I need to schedule the other ones, and I need to invest in a good scheduling software so I can just do them all. But well, that's another story. So then I was like, okay, let me do Instagram and Facebook, because you can do that on Creator Studio, even though I'm a little annoyed because I can't do it from my personal page. And I promise we have a point. I'm getting there. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And then I stopped, and I was like, okay, go ahead and just map those out. But I was like, well, today is a writing day, and I really wanted to write my newsletter and the blog posts that are coming up and that's another thing I'll talk about, the blog posts that are coming up. But as I was sitting down to write, I couldn't get into the groove. It was like I had like bullet points, and not, they're not even full outlines. They're just like little. If I was writing, it's like little notes. But I typed them out, and I'm like, they're not complete. The newsletter is not going out, and that's because lingering in my mind was, you have unfinished business to do. Stop and go schedule out the rest of the content. Now, some people say you can schedule out weekly. I was like, well, I already have 52 clips done. I just want to get them out there. So they're all the way into May, and it probably was an overachiever move. I could have probably just said, okay, I'll schedule out these, for this week, and then I'll wait on Sunday. But it's kind of like, yeah, that's not what I wanted to do. And then I was like, I had some time because my mind was just not in the writing mode. And I have a big event this weekend that I'm supporting Lisa Nichols with. So that's on my mind. And I was like, okay, I'm not gonna write. I'm not gonna prepare for that. I have this empty space. So what am I gonna do? And I was like, film this next video to round out this month. And I was like, okay. So I said all that to say, and that led into what I want to talk about. Stop just doing your best. And I know it sounds like counterproductive, but I was listening to my money mindset coach, and she said the same thing. She was like, there's a difference between focusing on doing your best and doing whatever it takes. And I sat there for a minute, and I was like, you know what? That is so true. Where have I just done my best? And then where have I done whatever it takes? And which one has given me the most results? These are from my people who are top producers, high performers, go-getters. You just you go after things and you get things done. So I'm not talking about anyone who's like really, really struggling and they are really giving their best, because I think they're doing whatever it takes. But call yourself out, because I'm calling myself out. So there's a difference between doing whatever it takes and just doing your best. So as I was thinking about scheduling out the videos, doing my best was, okay, I did enough just for this month because I have so many other things to do. And it was like, no, you're not going to be satisfied subconsciously until you do whatever it takes to get it done. Even if it's putting something on the back burner for a minute, if it's staying up later than usual, then you go ahead and do that, because just doing your best. Well, at least I got 10 today. At least I scheduled 10 of them today. Now, for the average person, that could be amazing. There are people who are afraid to get on social media. There are people who have tech issues and all of that. But if you know that's not your excuse, like for me, I know it's not my excuse. It was just, I was just over it. Like, I don't want to do, I don't want to sit here and do it, because it's kind of like mind numbing work. Not for people who enjoy it, but it's not my zone of genius. I'm like, until I hire a team and get my assistant back, that's like just my zone of competence. So it's not like this my highest producing level of activity. So that's why I was a drain. But it's like, in the meantime, you are all that you have. So get it together. And I know some people might have an issue with that, but I'm just here to call us out, especially if you are wanting to go higher, you're wanting to do more, and you're used to achieving goals, but you're not achieving what the real goals that you want to have, because it's probably because you're doing your best. If it's wanting to get a better body, however that looks for you, and then it's like, are you making your workouts optional or non-negotiable? I know for me, I've been making my workouts optional. And I kid you not, just this morning, in my devotional quiet time, I was like, okay, really, what is this block? Because I know how to eat, right? I know how to get, y'all, I wake up just because at 3, 4, and 5 o'clock in the morning. Like, I'm up. So there's no excuse about, oh, I'm not a morning person. Nope, that's not it. And it's not like I don't know workouts, what to do. I found people that I actually want to follow, that I can actually do. I have healthy food. Like, sometimes I do eat more carbs than normal, but I intermittent fast, so I cut off the time that I eat. So it's not like I don't know what to do. It's not an excuse. So it's like, well, what is it? You get to a certain point and stop. And then I could say, well, I'm just doing my best. It's so much. And it's like, that's a lie. Are you doing whatever it takes, even when you're tired? Do you still get up and do the workout, or take the walk, or drink the smoothie? If you have a goal to write a book, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's just so much in the day, I wrote 2 pages this week. I did my best, but did you do whatever it takes? Did you get up earlier or did you stay up later to write something? Right? So when I talk to you all about this stuff, it's not, me preaching at you. I'm experiencing these things. I'm like, okay, if I'm experiencing some things, I know some other people are. So like this morning during my devotional time, I was like, okay, what is it? Because this is ridiculous. And sometimes, you have to call yourself out and you do have to coach yourself. And yes, I am a coach. I coach people. And then I do say that there are things that you cannot see that a coach can help you with. Just like, if you want to be a star football player, you can only take yourself so far. You need a coach. But there's a point in time where the coach is not there and you have to get up and go and do the practice runs, right? You have to go do the drills. So sometimes you have to get yourself like, okay, get it together, because a coach is not your binky, your crutch, somebody that you call in case of an emergency like that per se. Coach is not going to do the work for you. So coach yourself. So I had to sit there and really figure out what is the root cause, because it's not time, it's not money, but what is the block? And when I say money, it's not like I can. I was gonna say that only like I can afford fast food, but y'all know the prices. No, fast. It used to be sometimes it was cheaper to go eat out or get something like fast food versus buying a bunch of healthy food, but that is not the case now. Just go to the grocery store and buy your food. And then it was like, well, what is it? Is it a meal prep issue? And it was like, truth be told, no, I have time. I mean, yes, I do like to meal prep, but even if I don't, it's not like I'm just super, super busy to where I can't prepare my food. So I really had to sit down and I found out what it was. And I'm like, okay, you're just trying to do your best. You're saying that you're doing your best. You're not doing whatever it takes because you're up early, so why aren't you doing the workouts? And then so I know why. I mean, maybe I'll share it later at some point. But it's like, okay, I had to get that block out of the way. Now I need to do whatever it takes, because I've been, we talked about on another episode about the victim mentality. It's like, oh, well, this and that, and this is why I can't get up. I don't have the energy. I'm mentally drained. And I was like, well, resolve some other issues and get yourself up and do that if that's what you say you want to do. So there is a difference between, and call yourself out, doing whatever it takes versus just doing your best. And I think that's a cop out for a lot of us. And it may not be you. And if it's not you, don't comment. I mean, you can, but I'm just putting this disclaimer out there. It's like, if you know that you're doing your best, then just look at how that's the results that has gotten you, right? Another thing I want to talk about that I saw not too long ago that reminded me to talk about this topic was the guy Tim Bilyeu. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think that's his last name, Bilyu. He's the impact theory guy, the Quest guy who sold his nutrition company for $1 billion. He says, you don't have to quit your job. You don't have to burn the ships at the shore. You just need to execute. And the first comment underneath that post was, it's hard when you need your job but are entirely drained and exhausted because of it. I am not taking away from how this person feels. Well, maybe I am, because I was about to say but, and I learned that when you say but, that negates everything before that. And then I think somebody else in the comments, let me see, but somebody else was in the comments, I think under that one was like, this is the difference between people who have what they want and the people who don't. And some people are saying that that person is mean, but it's true. And I know I felt that way before. Again, some part of that was learned victim mentality. Now, go listen to the episode. I'm not talking about people who are actual victims. So, come on now. I know it's not just me. It's like, oh well, I can't. I really want to start this business, but I'm working all these hours at the job that I actually hate. Well, what can you do in that job to make sure you don't actually hate it? I'll give you an example. As I was on my way out of my professor job, and I had to set up parameters. It was like, am I taking on so much that I'm overly involved and it's draining me? I created boundaries. I wasn't checking emails at a certain time. I wasn't going above and beyond. Now, I still did excellent work. I did. God loves order. He likes for you to do what you're supposed to do. So I know there was a trend one time about quiet quitting. And in a way, I understand what quiet quitting means for people who usually do the most. There's a interview I have on my channels. I'll probably turn that into a small version of a podcast. One of my guests, she said, "Why do we always have to shoot for a five, like or a gold star at work, when they're only really paying us to be a three? And most of us who are three do amazing work anyway, but we're so drained and exhausted a lot of times because we're trying to do the most when nobody asks us to." There are times when you do stand out and go above and beyond, but then there are times when you are supposed to just do what you're supposed to do because that is not your calling at the time. So let me break that down. Going back to the example of my professor job, towards the end, you can go back and hear all the episodes. It was like, okay, God does not want me to be here. I didn't stay here longer than I need to. There's something bigger and greater that I'm supposed to do. I wrote a book during that whole time in 2020 when it was the pandemic, and how I was able to do that working as a full-time college professor in coaching programs, starting my business and doing consulting work. And that's because I learned how to just put my classes on autopilot. If they didn't need me at a meeting, I didn't show up, or I stayed quiet. I wasn't trying to move the needle forward. So it's not like I wasn't doing my job, but I did exactly what I needed to do. And that allowed my mental space and mental capacity to open up. I was not attached to things that happened anymore. And then it allowed me to focus on things that were going to propel me further. So it was still challenging because I still had to do my job, but I could carve out space and time for me to do the things that I really wanted to do. If I needed to go to bed earlier, that's what I did. If I needed to wake up before a class and do some work, that's what I did. If I had to stay up because I knew I had a later class, that's what I did. You learn how to do things and stop just say, "Oh, well, I did my best." You do whatever it takes. So in this case, I'm not saying that the person doesn't hate their job, they're not drained. But when we look at people who are highly successful, accomplished, and it's not just money or status, it's anything. They do above and beyond regardless. Go listen to anybody's story. Gary Vaynerchuk, we know him now. Well, if you don't know, go look him up as this huge influencer. Is he? I don't know if he's a billionaire, but he got a bunch of money. Always on the leading edge of tech trends and social media trends, just all the things. He's an investor, all of that. But a lot of people don't remember or know that he started off, I think, supporting his family's wine business, making YouTube videos talking about wine that nobody watched. And I forgot the number that he said, but he said he did it. Let's say it was like 3 times a week he had to do the show. I think he said he did it 3 times a week for 10 years straight, and nobody knew who he was. He didn't have the followers. Nothing was kicking off. But what it did was show him himself. It showed him discipline, and then eventually some things started happening. But he was doing whatever it takes. So we see him now, but it's like he had already planted the seed and did and put in the work. He did whatever it takes instead of, "Oh, I'm just doing my best." His best could have been like one video a week, or okay, nobody's watching, so why do I have to keep doing this? But whatever it takes. And I think sometimes when we don't have a clear focus on what to do next, we don't have a whatever it takes. We're optional. Because when you don't really have a clear focus, it's like, I don't really have to hit it because I really don't know what I'm aiming at. But when you know that this is something that you want to hit, you do whatever it takes. The other thing I was going to say to that, I know for me, sometimes I can let myself off the hook and be like, "Oh, I'm just doing my best." That's because I have a lot of time right now. I'm in creator building mode, and I don't have the quote unquote distractions like I used to have when I was going to my full time employment, meaning I taught classes. There were articles I had to write. There were conferences I had to apply with. There were, projects to do, things like there was always something to do. So it was easier for me to manage when I had a lot of things to do. And everyone doesn't operate like that. And I understand that. So maybe you need to pick up some stuff and don't do this if it's gonna burden you or stress you out, but just sometimes people understand how your mind works. So when I was talking about, yes, I have to I'm writing the newsletter, blog posts, recording videos, scheduling social media, and why I don't have a team, because it's like, well, right now I'm me and I need something to occupy my time. And that keeps me focused. And it's like, well, I want to make sure I'm kind of getting off on a tangent, but when I say it keeps me focused, it's like I can adjust certain things in my schedule, like the writing, right? And to get the post done, because I'm like, no, whatever it takes, these posts have to go out. I cannot let it linger just another day. What else did the comment say? Somebody was saying, we're going back to the Tim Bill U. He says, what's holding you back from executing your goals? Another person said, I'm finally taking the action to achieve my goals, prioritizing taking some action every day, no matter how small. The greater the amount of action over time, the closer the goal becomes. Now, see, that's a different take versus somebody saying, oh, it's hard because I'm exhausted at work. And you have to, or the job that I'm doing is mentally draining me. Here's the thing, my sister is currently at a place she doesn't really enjoy, and it can be mentally draining because it's like it's killing her brain cells. Because some of the work is just mind numbing, and she used to just stretch it out over the whole day, and when it could take her 2 hours, right? So then, some things came up, and I suggested, I was like, well, just knock out what you need to do, even if it takes you 2 hours and you're on an 8 hour day, then you use that time to do something stimulating, right? So it's not that she's changing the job right now, or, it's nothing she can actually do. She's not leaving the job right at this moment. But until she gets, to where she wants to be, what can she do in her control? Yes, she's been drained and exhausted and not able to do her side project. But why are you drained and exhausted? Because you're trying to carry out, work, stretching out this mind numbing work. No, get that stuff done. They're going to pay you for the 8 hours regardless. You do the work and then do what is going to feed your soul, feed your mind, feed your brain cells. And some people say that's cheating on the job, but again, if you do what you're supposed to do, so I'm not saying that you don't get your work done. No, you absolutely get your work done. But if it takes you 2 hours and 3 hours, then you're just a superstar. Do it. And then now, I'm not saying now you go and start tomorrow's work. No, no. You do what they told you to do for today, and then you use the rest of your time to do what is going to work for you. So that way you're not drained and exhausted, and you can lose yourself in doing something that you love and enjoy. I want to put that out there, and let me know your thoughts. Let me see if I can find something else that somebody said. Oh yeah, the first person said, and that's why most people never do more. And they're right. It's not fun all the time to do whatever it takes. It is easier to just say I'm doing my best. Me with my workout, I can say, yeah, I worked out 3 times this week and I just did my best, when I know good and doggone well I could work out 5, 6 times a week. Now that may not be your story, but that's why you have to know yourself. When I was writing my dissertation, from beginning of the study to the end, I had to do it in 6 weeks. So proposal, study, full dissertation, defense, 6 weeks. If you know anything about that, that is ridiculous. But I had to get up out of there. I did whatever it takes. I could have been like, oh, I just do my best. I had a 5 year fellowship. I was like, no, I'm getting up out of here in 3 years. I could have just said, oh, this was how I can stretch it out. I don't have to kill my brain cells to get this done. But it was like, which one mattered to me, to be able to stretch this out in 5 years, or to go with my original goal and get this done in 3? Whatever it takes, I'm going to get this done in 3 years. The same thing with my second book. Well, actually, with my first book, I wanted to have it done by a certain age. I got it done. For the second book, I wanted to have it done in 90 days from writing to publication. Not just having the manuscript done, I got it done, whatever it takes. My third book that I put on major pause, and I shared why if you watch any of my updates, but I wanted to have at least a solid draft of my proposal done by December. And I'm like, okay, of 2022. I'm like, okay, you've been lingering out here. Get this done. And just, it was a couple of days where I did nonstop work. If I slept, whatever, because I did whatever it takes. So you have to look at yourself. The goals or the areas that you are making the most progress on, I guarantee that you're doing whatever it takes. And the ones that, you're not achieving, it's because you're probably just doing your best. All right, so that was impromptu. I am going to have these more structured, I promise, because I have to start putting the corresponding blog posts together. That has been my new project. I'm so excited about it. Y'all, why have I been thinking I've been doing blog posts when I haven't. I just realized that out of all these years, I thought I've been doing like posts and stuff. No, it hasn't been a true blog, and I finally got it together. And so, again, instead of stressing myself out, I was like, okay, how can I make this work? And I, I'm learning the system of having, a newsletter and a blog post, and then having the podcast. Some of the stuff needs to sync up. So you will see some notes. Go to the corresponding blog posts. I love saying that. I used to hear people say that in their YouTube videos, and I was like, what they mean? And I thought I had that, and I ain't had that. That's another tip for those of you who are looking for other ways to get content. If you write a script for your videos, then just turn that into a newsletter or a blog post. Now, these first few episodes have not been, exactly like scripted because I just wanted to get them done. I told y'all that. But we will have more structure coming up. And then so you can actually have notes and things to follow, like, show notes. So when we blow up around here, I've already had that system and things in place. All right, so I will have that there. Also, stay on the lookout for my other videos on YouTube. I'll get back into teaching so people can understand really what it's like to work with me. And you will see my face. I just want to, mix up the channel a little bit. If you're interested, I started a thing called the Curious Connection Call, to where I did have courses, I did have programs. And, if you watch some of my videos, I talk about a membership. And at this moment, I've kind of just slowed that down because I was like, I really want to focus on coaching and getting, that in, like the deep level coaching, because I can do informational coaching. If you want to learn how to do something, I can walk you through a process. That's kind of coaching, consulting, coach-sulting, in a way. But to truly transform your life and to get to massive action, deep level, a course isn't going to do it for you. You need that 101 deep dive work. And I'm starting, I have been doing a few. You can go to my channel. You can see the Brilliant Power Hour, where people have been brave enough to let me coach them live doing coaching demos. And they are complimentary, to get one time. You can't be signing up for 10 power hour sessions, but they are complimentary. And then we could do it one of two ways: either a curious call, to where, you want to find out more about how to work with me, and we can talk about a path that way. Or if you want the complimentary coaching call that's going to be recorded on my channel, we can talk about that. So that information will be down below or at the end of this video, so you can see it, and we'll go from there. But I do believe you get the most impact for high-end, high-touch, one-on-one coaching. Yeah, at some level. There are different levels, but we can have a conversation about that. All right, so thank you so much for listening and learning with me. I will see you all on the next episode. Make sure you comment and subscribe to my channel, and definitely comment on the podcast. I'm not sure how YouTube is ranking these, but just go ahead and hit the like button, comment, subscribe, share, all of those good things, and I will see you next time. Bye.